the amount of exploration that my character has had, especially in these past recent episodes, has been really satisfying.
Yeah. Back to your adulation, your happiness, I should say, about the fact that actors of color are getting an opportunity on the show. How has that played into the choices you've made over the course of your career in terms of playing certain characters and turning other characters down based upon, shall we say, stereotypes?
It's been one of the biggest criteria for choosing whether to take a role or not, to be completely candid. You know, because it's inescapable. In our business, it's inescapable that your appearance has an effect on how people judge you. And so, you know, when I've turned down a fair number of roles because I felt like the character wasn't something that I wanted to represent. Then we just have to be careful, because most people are sensible and they don't make judgments based on one character that they see on television. But there are others who kind of see, you know, one representation and then start to think that, you know, everyone of that color is like that. And so I'm aware of that. And, you know, it's just been really important to me to kind of work in the positive direction.
Yeah. Speaking of that dollar that I owe you, if I had a dime for every time I have over the course of my career talked about the treatment or the maltreatment, as it were, of black folk in Hollywood, I'd be independently wealthy. What never happens, of course, is a conversation about the treatment or lack thereof of Asian Americans in Hollywood, because it always gets trumped by this black-white Hollywood discourse. I raise that only because I wonder whether or not we should celebrate the fact that we're seeing people of color because this show is set in Hawaii, or whether there's a larger issue that you're raising here, that you think that people of color are getting more respect across the board in Hollywood.
I think that's a great question, and
They're two different things, right?
Yeah, no, they are, but they are intertwined for sure. You know, I think the fact that we are set in Hawaii, you know, almost requires, you know, actors of color to be a part of the show.
Although Seinfeld was in New York and they didn't have no black. You know, the Friends didn't have no black friends.
Exactly.
And Seinfeld didn't have, I mean, and they were in New York City, but I digress. I'm sorry.
No, but that was actually the point I was going to make, is that, you know, you would think that that would be a requirement, but if you look at past television shows and movies, you know, there are incredibly whitewashed versions of New York and Los Angeles and Chicago out there that don't necessarily match what you see when you walk down the street. So those two things are definitely intertwined, and you know, I'm happy that we live in a climate where even though the representation isn't, you know, where it should be, the studio executives and producers can say, all right, well, it's set in Hawaii, so we can have actors of color on there.